Imagine this quote in your mind. Seneca once said that if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Now I can imagine that. Imagine with me for a minute, you're a sailor out on the ocean and you don't know where you're going. You don't have a destination. You don't have a port. You're going to wind up going wherever the wind happens to blow your ship. You're just going to drift around. And what's interesting about that quote is it's very wise because many people spend their lives just drifting wherever they happen to be going based on whatever the circumstance, situation, or condition of their life is. One of the remedies that people can choose to really up-level their success is to set some goals. But for me, personally, what I have found is that the first real step to creating success is not a goal. It's actually the creation of a vision. Goals are powerful, and a vision is even more powerful. And by vision, we don't mean goals. There are some very specific differences between vision and goals. So let's talk about what those differences are and then help give you some easy steps that you can take to create a vision, or if you happen to already have a vision, some easy steps to up-level or boost the quality or the power of the vision that you have. My name is John Boggs. I am the co-founder of the Brave Thinking Institute, where I also serve as CEO and founder of our business and leadership division. And welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's talk a little bit about the very first step to creating success, which in my mind is the creation of a vision. In order to do that, let's clarify the difference between a vision and a goal. A goal oftentimes can be part of a vision. A goal can be a benchmark along the way to experiencing a vision. So goals are things that you want to achieve that have very definitive timelines to them and very, very clear outcomes. You might have a health goal. It might be to go from your current weight to an ideal weight, or it might be a fitness goal to go from being able to currently walk a quarter mile to being able to run 5 miles, and you want to be able to do that in 6 months. That would be a very specific goal. And there are ways to create great goals in all 4 quadrants of life, in your love and relationship area of life, in your vocational or your work area of life, in the area of life that we call time and money freedom, and of course in the area that we call health and well-being. Those are the 4 major quadrants of life. You can create goals in all 4 quadrants. But when you ask one particular question and you think about all 4 quadrants, you really begin to build what we call a vision. The question that begins the process of creating a great vision for your life, for your business, for what you would really enjoy, is to ask yourself the following question. What would you love? What would you love? The second question that you ask yourself in creating a great vision is, what does it look like when it all works out? What would you love? And what does it look like when it all works out? Now think about space tourism for a minute. That is a particular vision that Elon Musk has. Richard Branson has the same vision. They have this image in mind of people being able to go to outer space as tourists. And believe you me, they have very clear visions of what it looks like when it all works out. And they've built that vision on the question, what would they love? And then they systematically go to work on moving their life, moving their work, moving their companies in the direction of bringing that vision into the land of form, or expressing that vision through their work. Why a vision is so important is that a vision becomes your destination. It becomes the port that you're sailing toward. So create a vision for your life. Answer the question, what would you love in the area of your relationships? What would you love in the area of your health and well-being, in your vocation and the work that you do in the world? And what would you love with time and money freedom? Get very specific. A great vision is very detailed and very specific. Imagine for a minute that you were being asked the question, what would you love in terms of money? And you say, a lot. I want a lot. And somebody says, okay, go to the bank and cash that check. If you were to hand the teller a check with the word a lot on it, the teller can't cash it. You've got to put a specific amount on that check. So when you're creating your vision, get very specific. What does it look like? Specifically, what does it look like? How does it feel? Write the feelings out. How would you feel? What would it look like? How would you walk? How would you talk? Living inside a Technicolor three-dimensional version of your life if you're living the full expression of your vision. The clearer you can get, the better the destination will appear. And why that is the first step towards success is because everything that you do every day is either moving you closer to the vision or further away. You're either being moved toward the life that you would love or you're moving in the opposite direction. But here's the key. You don't know whether you're moving in the right direction if you don't have an image in mind. First step to creating great success, to create a vision. Yes, use goals. Those are benchmarks along the way to creating a great vision. So here's the deal. This is the moment. This is the moment. If you already have a vision, the key is greater clarity. Greater clarity, greater specificity. Create a clear, specific vision in mind for your life, because that's the first step to creating great success. Now it's your turn. I would love to have you share two things. What do you think has helped you, if you have a vision, create an even better vision? I would love to know. What are the tips? What are the clues that you would share on creating a great vision? Let's create a document together in the comments below so that we together can create some great tools for creating vision. And what do you think the difference between goals and vision is? I'd love to hear you share your expertise on this topic. If you're new to the community, let me say welcome. I'm glad you're here. You can click like, follow, share, subscribe, and until we're together again, make sure that you continue to think bravely and act boldly.